Good morning, hello, and welcome to This Date in History, also known as TDH. This show is all about the events that occurred to date in years past, both recognized by actual historians, but mainly things we personally find intriguing enough for us to bring to you. The sources of this information come from the smart device application, Today in History, What Happened Today in History, historical calendar, and the website onthisday.com. For links to those sources, the music done by Carrera, and anything else potentially interesting, check the underbar of the description below. Anyway, I am Ayo Xander, and today is Tuesday, also known as Tuesday, October 11th, 2022. Let's just jump right into it, shall we? In the year 1138, an earthquake in Aleppo, Syria, killed an estimated 230,000 people. Holy crap. That's a lot of people. Back then, that must have been devastating. Well, it's devastating today. That number, there was a hell of a lot less people back then than there are today, I tell you that much. So, ratios, dude, percentages, all that stuff. Anyway, jumping on up into 1521, Pope Leo X titled King Henry VIII of England Defender of the Faith. Wow. Well, he had no idea what King Henry VIII was about to do. He was going to break off from Catholicism and make the Church of England so he can divorce his wives because he couldn't produce a male heir. What an absolute failure and a disgrace. 1726, Benjamin Franklin returned to Philadelphia from England. Alright. In 1865, President Andrew Johnson paroled Confederate States Vice President Alexander H. Stephens. 1895, Emperor Menelik II of Abyssinia rejected a treaty with Italy. I wonder why he did that. 1911, Ty Cobb of the American League and Frank Schultz of the National League were named inaugural MLB MVPs. The prize was a car. That's cool. So that way you don't have to run everywhere like they do in the game. Then 1923, some more baseball here. A pair of Babe Ruth home runs in the 4th and 5th innings was the difference. New York Yankees beat New York Giants 4-2 at the Polo Grounds to tie the World Series 1-1. All right. We gotta get some more baseball. 1927, New York Yankees first baseman Lou Gehrig was named American League MVP. Despite hitting MLB record 60 home runs, Babe Ruth, as a former winner, is not eligible. I wonder if that was because of his drinking and partying and all that stuff, because he was a bit of a wild card. And then 2 years later, 1929, JCPenney opened store number 1252 in Milford, Delaware, making it a nationwide company with stores in all 48 U.S. states, continental states actually, the lower 48 as they often say, despite Hawaii being more of a west thing than of a north thing. But anyway, 1939, Albert Einstein informed Franklin Delano Roosevelt of the possibilities of the atomic bomb. Yep. And then, as we know, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, we were talking about the creation of the group that would eventually become the Manhattan Project, formed in 1941, several months prior to our actual engagement into the Second World War with Pearl Harbor, as we all know. Also in 1939, Samson Raphael's play Skylark, starring Gertrude Lawrence, premiered in New York City. Alright. Then we got a film release in 1944, Laura, directed by Otto Preminger, starring Gene Tierney and Dana Andrews, was released in New York City, New York. 1945, Chinese Civil War began between Kuomintang government led by Chiang Kai-shek and Mao Zedong's Communist Party. Yep, here we go. So, the communist uprising was well before 45, but, so I guess this is after the CCP's takeover, and then they have immediate rivals. So that would make sense. 1954, Pope Pius XII published encyclical Ad Caelum Reginem. Well, let's see. What the heck does that even mean? Ad Caelum Reginem. Here we go. No. Style. There we go. Given at Rome from St. Peter's Basilica on the feast of the Maternity of the Blessed Virgin Mary, the 11th day of October 1954, towards the end of the Marian year in the 16th year of his pontificate. Okay, it's a bit wordy, but alright. For further reading on this encyclical, please refer to the underbar in the description. I have now posted the actual link. So, let's move on, shall we? 1955. All Perón feast days disposed of in Argentina. All Perón feast days. Okay. So apparently he's made several holidays to have feasts involving him in one way or another. It sounds like I don't know. The world's weird. So I challenge you, the viewer. If you know anything more about this, please let us know in the comment section. Moving on up into 1962, the Second Vatican Council, 21st Ecumenical, convened by Pope John the 23rd. 365 days later, 1963, William Shatner starred in Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, an episode of CBS anthology series The Twilight Zone. Oh, so that was him, and there was a guy on the wing, thing. Huh. I had no idea. 1967, Yoko Plus Me art exhibit opened in London. The Me is John Lennon. So here we go. Yep, this guy was such a cuck. At that same time, 1967, World Series record 3 consecutive home runs hit by Carl Yastrzemski, Reggie Smith, and Rico Petrocelli at Boston Red Sox beat St. Louis Cardinals 8-4 in Game 6 at Fenway Park. Alright. 1 year after that, 1968, MLB star Billy Martin named manager of the Minnesota Twins. Well, that's cool. We got some music history. 1 more year later, 1969, U.S. blues musician Muddy Waters involved in a car crash that kills 3. That sucks. That's not really music history. Well, I guess that's technically music history. I don't know, because it involves a musician named Muddy Waters. What a name. 1971, Baltimore third baseman Brooks Robinson set Baseball World Series record when he reached base 5 straight times in Orioles' 11-3 win over Pittsburgh Pirates in Game 2 at Memorial Stadium. And who has joined us? I see half of a name here, so hold on a second. Do this. Who are you? Oh, hello. It is our friend, the Capital Moron, which I don't like calling people morons, but it's your name, so... Alright. But you are not a moron in my eyes, good sir. Anyway, moving on up into 1974, Columbia Records released Street Life Serenade, singer-songwriter Billy Joel's 3rd studio album. Alright. 1 more year after that, 1975, Saturday Night Live, created by Lorne Michaels, premiered on NBC with George Carlin as host. Well, that is cool. I did not know George Carlin was the original host, and this is the birth date of Saturday Night Live, which kind of funny. It's dying in agony right now. So, and then at the same time, 1975, Islanders Brian Trottier's first career hat trick. Let's see if yeah. All right. 1976, Mao Zedong's widow, Jiang Qing, and the Gang of Four were arrested and charged with plotting a coup. Well, of course they were. But I thought she was arrested yesterday. Because we were talking about her yesterday, so now I'm confused. Was she arrested today or yesterday? Or is this just rolling in with the arrest of the 3 people that were also involved in this? Anyway, 1977, U.S. inventor Gordon Gould issued his first U.S. patent for an optically pumped laser amplifier, 20 years after first claiming to have invented the laser. So yeah, this is what is this? Optically pumped laser amplifier. It sounds like LASIK surgery. Oop, I did not mean to close out that tab, so let's just open up a new one. Alright. Is there going to be any info here? Here we go. An optical amplifier is a device that amplifies an optical signal directly without the need to first convert it to an electrical signal. An optical amplifier may be thought of as a laser without an optical cavity, or one in which feedback from the cavity is suppressed. So that sounds more like a communications thing, not LASIK surgery. So that's intriguing. I'm not the brightest knife in the toolbox. So if I'm wrong about either of my assumptions, please let me know in the comment section. And I've also posted the link to this wiki in the underbar, the description. Let's move on up. 1978, we have some more baseball here. Dodgers Bob Welch dramatically struck out Reggie Jackson in ninth. In 1981, then unknown musician Prince Rogers Nelson opened for the Rolling Stones at the Los Angeles Coliseum. Dang. Oh, Prince. So Prince, like the Prince. So that's cool. That's a great way to start your career. So, and what an illustrious career he had. Got some more music awards. In 1982, 16th Country Music Association Award, Willie Nelson and Ricky Skaggs won. Alright. Some cool suspenders or whatever it is that he has around his neck. What is that? Looks like some kind of like hippie, like, you know, priest or something thing that they got. Anyway, 1983, Can't Slow Down, second studio album by Lionel Richie was released. And let's see here, 1984, August Wilson's Ma Rainey's Black Bottom premiered in New York City. Then 1984, U.S. vice presidential candidates debate Geraldine Ferraro, Democrat, and George H.W. Bush, Republican, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. All right. In 1985, President Reagan bans the import of South African Krugerrands to the USA. What the hell is that? Is that like a weapon or something? South African Krugerrands. It's a coin. So he banned the import of those. Okay, well, that's a weird situation. Viewers, if there's anything you know about this, or you want to expand my education, feel free to accept this challenge and research why he did this. So actually, let's see here. Why? 1985. Let's see here. Why? Let's just see if I can get a thing on here. Are they still legal? The ban has been lifted, so it is now legal. So it has since been lifted, at least. But that's weird. Anyway, let's move on up into 1986. Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev open talk at a summit in Reykjavik, Iceland. All right, that's always good. Just sit down and talk with thine enemies, and hopefully you can come to a conclusion that doesn't involve war, unlike Russia today. So, 1991, law professor Anita Hill testified Clarence Thomas sexually harassed her. Of course she did. Lying Me Too bitch. So, 1992, first three-way U.S. presidential debate, George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and Ross Perot. I remember Ross Perot. There are other people remembering Ross Perot. I was only like 5 at this time, so of course I don't remember any of this. I remember this guy, definitely. Anyway, 1992 as well, Deion Sanders plays for the Atlanta Falcons, NFL, and Braves baseball. So that's right, like there's been a handful of people who played multiple sports at once. This guy being one of them, football and baseball. That's crazy. How do you schedule that? 1994, Nobel Prize in Economics was awarded to John Harsanyi, John Nash, and Reinhard Stelten for their pioneering analysis of equilibria in the theory of non-cooperative games. So it sounds like the study of the mentality of people who play competitive sports and whatnot. Because really, in the United States at least, sports are a religious cult. People paint themselves, people congregate. People who would normally, be able to get along together, the instant you're like, oh yeah, I'm a this fan or I'm a that supporter, it's like, oh god, get away from me. Yes. People in the States are weird. Anyway, 1995, O.J. Simpson cancels a TV appearance on Dateline. Okay. And 1997, 2 years later, Dennis Rodman returned from second longest NBA suspension, 11 games. Dang. So is that second longest for him or second longest in the NBA? Huh. 11 games doesn't seem like that long, but I don't know how long it takes for 11 games to go down. Anyway, moving on up into the next millennium, finally, 2001, Caribbean writer V.S. Naipaul was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature. Okay, that's cool. 2001 as well, Nobel Prize for Economic Sciences awarded to George Akerlof, Joseph E. Stiglitz, and A. Michael Spence for their analysis of markets with asymmetric information. Yeah, this is all like fanciful stuff. Like, I want to research this, but I'm in the middle of a show. It's a real shame. So, 2006, the U.S. sitcom 30 Rock, created and starring Tina Fey alongside Alec Baldwin and Tracy Morgan, first premiered on NBC in the U.S. I've seen a few episodes of that on TV when I had nothing else to do or nothing better to watch, you know. 2012, Mo Yan, a Chinese hallucinatory realist writer, won the 2012 Nobel Prize for Literature. Okay. Hallucinatory realist. That's... You know what? Let me just look up this definition if there is one. Because that sounds bonkers. Here we go. Hallucinatory realism. It's a term that has been used with various definitions since at least the 1970s by critics in describing works of art. In some occurrences, the term has had connections in the concept of magical realism, although hallucinatory realism is usually more specific to a dream state. And, of course, I will post this link in the underbar, so give me un momento. And post it. Alright. Let's move on up into 2015. Why is my brain dying today? 2015, President's Cup Golf, Jack Nicklaus Golf Club, Korea. Zach Johnson and Phil Mickelson went undefeated as the U.S. won for the sixth successive time with a 15.5 to 14.5 victory over the international team. Alright. Barclays. 2019, Indian cricket captain Virat Kohli scored career best 254, not out to move past 7,000 test runs on day 2 of the second test against South Africa in Mumbai. India won by an innings in 137 runs. Okay, anybody understand that? Good for you. 2019 as well, Nobel Peace Prize awarded to Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed for the peace deal with Eritrea. Alright, that's cool. Yeah. 2020, just 2 years ago, British Mercedes driver Lewis Hamilton won Eiffel Grand Prix at Germany's Nuremberg to equal Michael Schumacher's record of 91 Formula One victories. In 2020 as well, French Open men's tennis, Rafael Nadal defeated Novak Djokovic 6-0, 6-2, 7-5 for the 20th Grand Slam singles title, record 13th French singles title. Nice. We got some NBA Finals in 2020 as well. The NBA Finals, LA Lakers beat Miami Heat 106-93 in Game 6 to win, record equaling 17th title. Most valuable player, unfortunately, LeBron James, that nitwit, first to win the award with 3 different teams. Yeah. Until he decides to be a freaking, Chinese cuck. So, anyway. Before we move on to the births and deaths, viewers, were there any articles that grabbed your attention more than most? Anything that you want us to elaborate on? Anything that you saw in between all of these black highlighted articles, all the white stuff? I don't read that when I'm doing the show alone, so yeah, it just goes to show how little I'm actually reporting on compared to all the stuff. Everything you saw here, this all happened on this date in history. October 11th. This is all October 11th throughout all of the years. It's wild. So much has happened. So, but, was there anything that you can elaborate on? Anything that you want to comment on? Just open up a dialogue in the comments section. Just because the video's over, or it's not over yet, not, for me at least, in real time, but doesn't mean that the conversation has to stop. So anyway, let's move on up into births, starting us off in the year 1573. Jacob Boonen, South Netherlands clergyman and lawyer, born in Antwerp, Belgium, dying in 1655. We got Arthur Phillip. This guy looks familiar. Born on this date in 1738, he was a British admiral and the first governor of New South Wales, serving from 1788 to 92. Born in Cheapside, London, dying in 1814. And George Williams in 1821, an English philanthropist and founder of the YMCA. Born in Dulverton, West Somerset, England, died in 1905. So he's the founder of the YMCA. You know, that makes me wonder, like, you know, because even when I, like, you know, like, I'm 35, like, but even when I was in the YMCA back in, like, the 90s when I was a kid, they still had, you know, girls in there. Well, the YWCA exists, so why aren't there boys in there? You know, like the Young Women's Christian Organization, the Young Men's Christian Organization. You know, like, it's the same thing as that one video with Ben Shapiro, and that stupid feminist is like, oh, why can't we have girls in the Boy Scouts? You know, because it's in the name, Boy Scouts. You know, hello. Like, you know, come on. Anyway, moving on up to 1844, we have Henry John Heinz, German-U.S. entrepreneur who founded Prepared Foods Company, H.J. Heinz Company, 57 varieties, born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, dying in 1919. So yes, this is the guy behind the Heinz ketchup and mustard and other condiments and foodstuffs and whatnot, so, which all contain GMOs from Monsanto, which is owned by Bill Gates. So every time you buy a named product like that, you're financially supporting one of the most evil people in the world's history. So anyway, 1884, Eleanor Roosevelt, a U.S. First Lady from 1933 to 45, a human rights advocate in the United Nations, born in New York City, New York, died in 1962. And who else was born on this day? Jerome Robbins, 1918, Rabinowitz, a U.S. Tony and Academy Award-winning theater and ballet choreographer and director, West Side Story and Peter Pan, born in Manhattan, New York, dying in 1998. Huh. So that's interesting. West Side Story and Peter Pan, those are some big names there. And then we have Maria Bueno in 1939, a Brazilian tennis player, 7 Grand Slam singles titles, born in Sao Paulo, Brazil, dying in 2018. 1942, Amitabh Bachchan, an Indian actor, The Great Gatsby, born in Uttar Pradesh, India. I gotta watch that movie. That's obviously like the older version of the movie, not the recent one, I believe. Although he was born in 42, so no, he'd be up there in age right now. Anyway, who else was born on this date? Scrolling here, Luke Perry. Oh, that's cool. 1966, a U.S. actor. Beverly Hills 90210 and Riverdale, born in Mansfield, Ohio, dying in 2019. Oh, he died. That sucks. Huh. I remember like they made fun of him in Family Guy for being gay. So, let's see here. Who else born? We have Michelle Wai, 1989, a U.S. golfer, U.S. Open 2014, born in Honolulu, Hawaii. And Cardi B, I don't know that. 1992, actual name is Belcalis Almanzar, a U.S. rapper, Bodak Yellow, I Like It, and WAP, which stands for Wet Ass Pussy. You know, so you can tell how much of a trash heap this garbage guzzler is. Born in New York City, New York. Well, that explains why she's such garbage. So, anyway, moving on up into deaths, we have Bruno the First in 965, was an Archbishop of Cologne / Duke of Lutheran, died at around 40. And then we have Kazimierz Pulaski, 1779, a Polish military leader known as the father of American cavalry, died of battle wounds at the age of 34. Dang. Why don't I know this guy? I should know this guy. Well, now I do know this guy. Meriwether Lewis of the Lewis and Clark Expedition, 1809. Meriwether Lewis, an American explorer, soldier, and public administrator who helped lead the Lewis and Clark Expedition, dying of a gunshot wound at 35 under mysterious circumstances that could have been murder or suicide along the Natchez Trail in Tennessee at an inn called Grinder's Stand. I think he was killed off. So, and we have Anton Bruckner in 1896, was an Austrian composer, Te Deum, Wagner Symphony, Wagner disciple, and monumental bore, died at the age of 72. So apparently this guy was a monumental bore. Like how unexciting you have to be to have that be one of your defining characteristics in essentially is what a perpetual eulogy here. Like, yeah, Wagner. Anyway, We have Jean Cocteau, 1963, a French poet, filmmaker, and painter. Les Enfants Terribles, died at 73. So what is this? The Terrible Infants? Is that what this means? Let's see here. Images. Painter. Okay, hold on a second. Jean Cocteau. Oh, pardon me. Okay, here we go. Well, I guess it's just a book, or what is it? Looks like it's a piece of art. I don't know. Maybe it's a book. I don't know. Well, she's a poet, so it has. He's a poet, so it has to be that book. So anyway, there's a Russian private military company called Wagner. Oh God, that's not good. We have James Franklin Hyde in 1999, a U.S. inventor who created silica, died at the age of 96. So I've heard the word silica, but I don't know exactly what it is. So let's look it up here. Silica. Okay. Silicon dioxide, also known as silica, is an oxide of silicon with the chemical formula SiO2, most commonly found in nature as quartz and in various living organisms. And in many parts of the world, silica is the major constituent of sand. And I just noticed that we have been joined by none other than the Dick Kickham. Welcome.
Yo, what's poppin'?
Many things. We're almost over with the show, actually.
Oh.
If you want, you can close out the rest of deaths. Well, there's one in 2020, and that's it. So I'm sorry.
In 2020, Joe Morgan, American Baseball Hall of Famer, infielder. He was a 10-time MLB All-Star. Made it the World Series 1975 and 1976. He was a National League MVP for 1975, 1976, and he played for the Cincinnati Reds. And he was also a broadcaster for ESPN. Dies at 77.
Dang. This guy, he kind of looks like Keegan-Michael Key.
He does kind of look like him.
Yeah. Like, you know, like not exactly, but he looks like if Keegan-Michael Key would dress up as him. You know, looks like Key from Key and Peele in costume, essentially.
It's like the East
You can see that.
East versus West.
Like,
it's like Keegan. It's like him, but like in the East versus West Bowl.
Yeah, but baseball instead of football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
East versus West, but it's baseball.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that'll be it. That concludes the show. Once again, you can check the underbar, the description below, for any links that you may find interesting, including but not limited to all things Omni Coalition. For your dose of Passive Events Daily, we stream every day at 10 in the morning Pacific Time.
And 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And that makes me wonder, what time is it for you, Mr. TCM? All the way out there in somewhere in Europe. I'm talking to the capital moron.
Isn't TCM from Ukraine?
Yeah, I was not trying to say where he was from, but yeah, now the beans are spilled.
Well, sorry.
Yeah, it's alright. Well, whatever
TCM
time it is for Ukraine, so yeah. Anyway, for all of you and all of us, I was Xander.
The Slayer.
And in the audience today we have the Capital Moron, which I personally would like him to change his name because I do not like saying moron. Anyway, until you catch us tomorrow, don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. Until then, toodles!